Oh, there's 2 people in the waiting room. Excellent.
Oh, wow. Good. One of it is my husband. Probably.
Again. Okay.
I can't see
that?
you. I can't see you, Marion.
Hold on though.
See everybody's.
I the phone.
Share.
Now everyone's in there.
You know what I was at a
that's perfect.
cybersecurity seminar the other day.
Are you muted?
So anyways, he's staying.
By example.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Hi.
Somebody's one. Sorry.
Excellent. Hold on, so let's get
Oh
started.
yeah. Let's all turn our phones off.
I'm turning my
So
phone off,
let's
but I
get
need it for
started. Give me a
notes.
second. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on a minute.
No ringing.
No, 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 I like to use
Oh,
it
those just
for-
10 o'clock.
for
The next
notes.
one's the 1:30. That's fine.
What's that?
Okay, so
I
let's
like
get
to use it for
started.
notes. That's all.
Wonderful. Deb? Good morning.
Here, squeeze it.
We're all in. Hold on, there we go. We're having a problem with our, there we go. Excellent.
All right,
Sorry, thank
so we're gonna get started in about 1 minute as people sign in, but good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is the second in a series of webinars that we're doing for Wisebec. The first one dealt with getting started, how do you start your business, and this morning we're gonna talk about how to get more clients. So you've got your business up and running, and how do you get more clients? So we're gonna give people about 30 more seconds to log in. We're going to encourage you to put your questions in the chat box or write them down, and we are going to address all questions at the end. Yes, so Miriam's just going to set up the chat box, make sure that it's enabled.
Excellent. Here we go, I'll put it in the corner. So you
There we
guys
go, so you can see it. Wonderful.
Here we go, that's all yours. Give me a second, I'm just gonna say hello.
How many people do we have on?
We have 6 people, but we're gonna just get started.
Okay, and are we
There we
recording?
go.
Are we recording?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, good. So good morning, everyone. So we're going to get started now on how to get more clients webinar put together by the 6 of us who are some local experts in different topics, and you're going to meet us as we go along. And I'm clicking here. There we go. So I get to start this morning. My name is Deborah Wilson, and I've spent a lot of time in the corporate world, over 22 years working with big companies, as you can see. And then the last 11 years, I've been an entrepreneur and working in small business in the local area in a global company. I also sit currently as the chair of the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. My contact information is there on the screen, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything that we're covering today. So how to get more clients, sales and retention techniques. So now you've got your business up and running because you were with us last time and we helped you get your business up and running. And you're off to a really good start, but you want to increase your client base and your sales numbers. So what are some of the practical and simple techniques to use in the short term and the long term? So I've come up with 5, and there's a lot more than 5, but I just distilled it down to 5 that you can put into place right away. All right. So one of the things that I found was going to where your clients are. Instead of trying to bring your clients to where you are, go to where your clients are. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to use an example that when I was working with Southern Direct Marketing Services, I think we need that, Portia. I was responsible for selling to pharmaceutical companies, marketing plans for their fulfillment products. So I decided to, instead of me going out and meeting, knocking on the doors of all the pharmaceutical companies, I should go to where they're already gathering. So I went to the OPMA, Ontario Pharmaceutical Marketers Association. I joined it And then I became part of the executive. So everybody had to interact with me if they wanted to come to our events. So I quickly got to know all the key players and who they were and their strengths and how I could help them. So instead of me going out and running around, they came to me on a regular basis. So in a short period of time, I was able to get into their market, get to know them, and they knew me. So going to where your clients are served my purposes really well to infiltrate the key players in the market.
One moment.
Yep.
It looks like there's 7 people waiting to be
I think
admitted.
you have to.
Oh, you have to
Oh,
let them
I'm
in.
sorry.
Okay, hang on a second. We're gonna let a few more people in. Actually, do you want to keep that? And you can click for me. in that-
Admit all.
Admit all. We're gonna let a few more people in.
Hi, everyone. Here we go. Excellent.
they
Everyone's
on?
in. I think so.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So let me go back to host. And then let's keep going. So
Don't
close
close
it?
that, yeah, just drag it.
But I'm wondering if we can, what is this?
That's just Sam's camera. That's fine, I'll just.
Yeah,
There
that's
we
fine.
go.
That's fine. Leave that over there. We're just making sure that everybody that wants to hear this information is able to this morning and letting them in. So I think you just need to go back one for me there.
This
There.
was, sorry. Am I going the wrong
One
way?
Yeah, the other way.
My apologies. Here we go.
One more. Okay, perfect. So if you're just joining us this morning, welcome to the second in a series for WiseBeck. The first one was getting your business started. This morning we're talking about building your clients. How do you get more clients? So my name is Deborah Wilson and my topic is sales and referrals and retention. And I've put together 5 key points of how do you create a client base. So number 1 was go to where your clients are, and I gave an example of that had worked well for me. Okay. All right. So where are your clients going? Outside of associations like I gave you the example of, is there also another association? Is there an industry association that you should be joining? Are there awards or accreditation programs that you should be taking part in? Are there trade shows for your specific industry that you should make sure that you have a presence at? And if you're just getting up and running and you, for example, don't have a lot of capital to invest in a booth, you need to still go to those shows and meet the people that are at the booths and have a presence there. So there's 2 ways to do that, okay? So you either take a booth at a trade show or go and meet everyone that's there. There's also speaker programs. So the key influencers in your industry might be speaking at different events. You need to go and seek them out and be in their presence so that they become aware of who you are. And lastly, are they meeting at boards of trade or chambers of commerce or where are they going? You want to be in their presence. So you need to put yourself out there and go to where your clients or your prospective clients are already going. Who are the industry influencers? So I've just talked about that briefly, but how do you get close to them? And this goes back to kind of old school. Are they golfing at a golf course? Are they playing volleyball? Where are they going? Do you know that every Friday afternoon they meet at a certain bar to talk about their week and how it was going? Because I know for a fact that happens on a regular basis. So is that somebody waiting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just admit.
Just
press
admit.
it.
Quick.
Like I said, I can't see. So.
Oh, just press it.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you get close to them? And I'm going to give you an example. I used to manage the territory of Canada and the Caribbean, and you need to make friends with your competitors. So we used to go and do these conferences in the Caribbean, and when all of the conference attendees went into their sessions, the competitors were left outside. And we got to the point where we would go, what do you got? You show me yours and I'll show you mine. And as a result, I got to know why our services were different and better in some ways than my competitors. And we became friendly with our competitors and learned more about how we were different and could differentiate. And can you create a champion within an organization? Let me give you an example of this. At one point, we launched a new service, and I didn't have anybody yet that had that service. So I went to a friend of mine and I said, I'm going to give you the hardware for the service. I need you to take the service. And she said, no problem, because she got a free service. And then I need you to post it on Facebook and things about how happy you are if you're indeed happy. And that worked out really well. So I had a champion locally in my marketplace, and it cost me a little bit of money, but I wrote it off as a marketing expense. So you can create champions around you that are going to promote you. Building strategic alliance and partnerships. The best example of this is when you go to the dentist and they give you a toothbrush. Those dentists are not paying for those toothbrushes. The toothbrush companies have gone in and promoted their toothbrushes with the dentist. Another example of this might be accountants and bookkeepers. The accountants refer a bookkeeper, but there's usually a relationship there. And you can think of many, many examples of this as you go through your life. Another example, and this has become huge in the last decade, have a give back angle. And one of the best examples of this is Tom's Shoes. You're all probably familiar with Tom's Shoes. But for each pair of shoes that you buy, Tom's Shoes donates a pair to a child in need. So people feel compelled to buy the shoes. I know my daughter came to me and said, I need to buy Tom's Shoes because if I buy a pair, then another child gets a pair. And it really, really works. And we're seeing more and more examples of this. And actually, we're seeing courses at universities dealing with social entrepreneurship now and how this works for the corporation. Locally, Cobb's Breads, if you ever go into Cobb's Breads, at the end of the day, all of their leftover bread is donated to charity. Okay? And research suggests that consumers respond better when the corporation displays corporate responsibility, with 73% of people believing that companies should do more than just offer a product or service. Here's a beer example for those of you that like your beer. Stella Artois has been successfully driving awareness of the global water crisis for a couple of years now. And with their limited edition bottles purchased, a month of clean water is provided to women and their families in developing countries. And this has resulted in a really big uptick in the millennial market. So millennials specifically are looking for not just a product, but a product that gives back. So we saw this with the beer and the water. Okay. This is, if you take nothing else from today, take this away, the power of the referral. So one of the most powerful sources of sales is the referral from a satisfied customer. And some companies will actually systematize this into a rewards program, a recognition or a discount program. But how do you actually get referrals? It's amazing when I talk to clients, they don't ask. So if you just put that into your sales processes, asking for referrals all the way through. So if you know somebody that could use a service like this, I'd love your referral. Start at the beginning of your sale and don't wait to the end. But if you just start asking for referrals, you'll be amazed. The power of the referral is huge, absolutely huge. And why do referrals work? Because basically you're building the triangle of trust. So you've got you and you've got a client, but there's no trust there. So the referral makes that connection. So all of a sudden you've got the trust because, you know, Azzy has referred me and people trust Azzy. So therefore the trust is transferred through Azzy to me. 90% of people trust referrals. It's huge, guys. So we've got to start systematizing this and putting this into your sales process. Okay. And lastly, my last point here is all about retention. It is easier to keep and upsell an existing client than to get a new one. Oh, guys, take care of your existing clients. Love on them, love on them, love on them. Engage them with surveys. They love surveys. How can you improve what you're offering them? New product or service launches, give them special offers. How many of you have called your wireless provider and say, I'm leaving, and all of a sudden you get all these great deals? Don't wait until then. Love on your people early on. Give them deals as you're launching new services. Keep them feeling special. One way to do that is client appreciation events. We do this on an annual basis, but you can do it ad hoc. Make sure you know their birthdays or special occasions. Make them feel that you love them and want to keep them as a client. And then you can systematize a client referral program if you want. Most people want to help you. They want to say, I gave Azzy a referral. I gave Paul a referral. Look at me, I'm a wonderful person. But seriously, they want to help you in your business because they want you to do well so that you can do well for them. And all of the above activities that I've just talked about will result in referrals from existing clients and increased sales also. So that's me. I'm done. 5 topics here that I've covered today, all of them very important, and you will have access to these slides after the fact. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You have the contact information there. And now, I felt this was so important that I put the slide in here 5 times because I had 5 points. So now I have the honor and privilege to pass the clicker over to my good friend, Miss Miriam Golubdir, who's going to talk now about digital marketing website tools. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Deb. That was super useful. And everything Deb said makes absolute sense on the online perspective as well, because the art of sales is the same whether you're online or offline. What we have to do is always build a community, keep their clients happy, and retain them. But when it comes to the online world, people tend to forget how half of that process actually works. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the things that I think it makes sense, and we'll take it step by step. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask it in the chat box that I opened up. If not, then feel free to send us an email and we can walk you through it. So you're not technically alone. Everybody feels overwhelmed when it comes to doing anything to do with online marketing. Because if you think about it, you have to create an email, send out emails, post on social media, create your website, make sure you have good content, make sure you have videos and post them on top of everything else that you have to do on a daily basis. Well, it's quite overwhelming. And you don't have to necessarily do all of that. You may actually be able to only do one, but do it right and make sure that it works for you. Everybody's business is different. So it doesn't mean that email marketing should work for everybody. It just means email marketing is a great tool that you should consider using. But before doing that, you need to understand who your customer is. And are they expecting this from you? So understand your current customers. Once you do understand your current customers, then you can go ahead and inform them ongoingly of the products and services that you have. This does not mean you have to post every day on Facebook. You don't, because if you don't have anything to say this week, you shouldn't post on Facebook. Random posts will not keep your clients or community engaged or happy. Creating and engaging content with people and making sure you're connecting with them on a personal level is what keeps them going. Because at the end of the day, contacting someone on social media and having a direct message with someone, it's just like picking up the phone and calling someone and asking them how their day is going. So what you want to do is you want to build that relationship so you can maintain it ongoing. And so let's go over some of the stuff that technically it makes sense for the online world for you to use to get more clients. So content marketing is big. Content marketing means that you have to create a lot of content. That includes infograph. There we go. That includes blogs, infographics, videos, images, and case studies. Every single one of them are incredibly useful to you if your client is the type of individual that is waiting for this information from you. So in the marketing world, a lot of people want to see, what are the trends? What do I need to do? What are the hottest hashtags that are coming out? What do I need to do to keep my clients engaged and excited? Well, we recommend infographics, but that doesn't mean that works for everybody. But infographics are catchy, they grab your attention, and they're visual, so the individual can watch it and look at it and kind of understand where your flow of content is. Videos are number one right now. They're great because our attention span has gone lower over the years because we no longer read properly as we used to. So having a video and watching a video is so essential for your business because people will watch that. Images are great because they kind of portray what your business is. However, if you're in a mortgage world, how are you going to portray that in an image? So you always have to think, does this content match what I want to give out to my clients? I'm a big fan of landing pages and optimizing your website and your landing pages. Why do I like landing pages? Because a landing page is this one pager that you create that is so precise, it's to the point, it talks about that exact product that you want. They don't need to learn about all the other stuff that you have. They just need to know about that one product. And I'm a big fan of keywords because what do we do on a daily basis? We pick up our phone and we type in words that we want to look for things. Whether we're looking for a doctor for our kids or we're looking for something to buy off Amazon, we use words. So keywords are important. Having a one-pager and you put all your information in that one-pager is super key because the individual doesn't have to go everywhere on your website to get what they want. They go on that one landing page, they click on it, and they get everything they want. There's a call to action, and it brings them to your mailbox, or they give you a call. Email marketing is fantastic. I see a couple of people that have joined this webinar right now, and I'm on their email list actually, and they send me emails. So shout out to our good friends from STEM Minds that are watching right now. They send out amazing emails ongoingly on a weekly basis, but it's because they have something amazing to say about all the upcoming events that they have, or all the upcoming programs for the kids that are coming up. Sending that out to people that are waiting for that email, it makes complete sense. But there are CASA laws, so you need to make sure that that person is waiting for your email and you're not spamming their boxes and sending out random emails every day on the same topic, because no one's going to read it. What's going to happen? You're going to end up in people's spam box. So now you've lost an incredible tool that you could have used down the line to create a direct communication with this individual. Social media is great, but there's a purpose behind the social media platform that you're using. First of all, only use one. You don't need to be on all the platforms out there. Pick one, but do it right. When you're on that one social media platform, make sure that the content that you're putting in there is so specific to the individuals that are on that platform for you. Whether you have 100 people following your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page or your Instagram account, or 5,000 people, scroll through them. See who they are, learn their names, look at their accounts. It's a tedious work, but it adds up at the end, because if someone would have walked into your brick and mortar store, you would have said, hi, Jeff, hi, Mary, hi, Lucy. Learn who's following you online. If you can connect with them on a personal level and send them a message, do that, because that's how you build your referral system. That's how you build your community. And once you build your community and they're invested in your business and they care to talk to you, and they care to hear from you, they'll talk about you. And you become the #1 on their list. You become, if you need anybody to do mortgages, I only refer Ozzy, because I know her on a personal level now. I would refer other people as well. But what I'm saying is that you got to build that relationship. And the good thing about social media is that once you build that relationship, then you can come up with fun, catchy posts to keep people engaged on your social media. You want to make sure that if you're posting, so I put a really good example from Wendy's. They had this contest, so Wendy has about 2.5 million, 2.6 million followers. And they kind of wanted to do a bit of a stinging sense of humor. They have a very particular sense of humor. They were trying to take a jab at McDonald's. So they put this post up. Some people use frozen beef in their hamburgers, McRefund National Roast Day. And it's funny. And McDonald's retaliated as well, but in a funny way as well. And they said something funny. But what happened was it actually created a lot of engagement, because it wasn't about the product that they're selling. It was something outside of their regular advertising of their products and services that they were putting out. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the content that you're creating is not trying to sell to someone, because people don't care to buy. They care about who you are, and they care about how they can fit into your world and how you can fit into their world. Pay-per-click is a really good tool to use. Google and Bing, both, depending on where your customers are coming from, are very good platforms to advertise yourself and to stay on the first pages. I always tell clients, if the name of your business is Zoho, please do not advertise the name of your business, Zoho, as a pay-per-click, because I already know what the name of your business is. Why should I pay to click on the name of your business if I already know what it is? So pick good keywords that are representing your business, the services that you provide, but do it in a very small area. You cannot get everybody from Toronto to or the GTA or York region to click on your products. Your ads. But you can get people from, Young and Davis to only see your ad. This way, you're controlling the amount of money you're spending. You are getting the exact client that you're looking for. You're not getting extra clicks. You're not paying for extra clicks, but you're getting an actual conversion. So you want to consider pay-per-click. I'm going to leave this in here so you guys can read it, but there's so much more information we have for pay-per-click, and it's for free, and I'm more than glad to share it with you. The next one is display ads. And what I love about display ads is the fact that with a pay-per-click ad, it's only a text ad. So if I have, let's say a cell phone, and it's a rare cell phone, which everybody probably has a cell phone, but let's use it as an example. If I have a rare product, if I put that rare product image, I can't put it in a pay-per-click app because it's an image, but I can set it up as a display ad. And the good thing about display ad is that Google has a great set of partnerships set up with a lot of different websites out there. So your ad can travel to other websites based on who you're trying to target to see your ad. Whereas with pay-per-click, it sits on the first pages of Google, or certain sites that only allow pay-per-click text ads. So consider a display ad just to showcase the products that you have. They're really good, but you gotta also remember, this is the last piece I'm gonna add in there. Whether you're doing an ad on Facebook, you're doing an ad on Instagram, Google, or Bing, or even LinkedIn, because we do a lot of ads on LinkedIn for our clients. Remember one thing, you want to set a conversion. You want to ask for a conversion. Paying for clicks is just getting your money to be spent with no action at the end of it. There's a possibility that they will click and eventually they will call you. But having an action where there's a conversion, they're converting into a client, they're converting into a call or a form, that's what you want. So make sure you set up your ads based on that. Oh, this is the wrong mouse. Sorry. I went to the wrong. Okay, so I am going to introduce my really good friend, Dan McPherson from Snap, and he's going to tell you guys all about building smarter strategies. Take it away, Dan.
Thanks, everybody. My contribution today is going to be just refining a couple of key points. Mainly, and Deb touched on this, and I'm going to talk about some of the stuff Miriam did as well, but I'm going to keep it pretty simple today. The main thing is just being human. It sounds kind of crazy, but when we run businesses and we work on all of this stuff and all these ideas, we seem to put this division in place. There's the business Dan who from 8 to 6 works on these sort of things. Then I got to go home and be a dad and a coach and excuse me, and have this personal life. And the next morning I wake up and put on this hat again. But we all know as small business people, as entrepreneurs, that's just not the way it is anymore. It's not 1950 anymore, especially with the web, especially with texts, with instant gratification. We all have to be on at all times. We're cooking dinner, we're checking it, and this is probably bad, but we're checking emails throughout the course of the evening. People's attitudes towards getting response time, they're getting very finicky if you don't get back to them in the first couple hours. 20 years ago, if you got back to them in 48 hours, it was fine. So that's because your business life and your personal life, they're merged now. You are the same person. So you have to make sure that in your business life that you produce likability, that the key things that make you a good person, that you're giving, that you're funny, that you're nice, you're kind, you're a good parent, excuse me, that all those things reign through and permeate through your business life as well. And so a lot of the ways we can do that is not just coming up with, say, the miracle post. A lot of the times we work hard on content marketing and strategizing the best video to post. But take, for example, social media. When we are on social media, we're trying to think up this miracle thing that everybody's going to click and they're going to fall in love with, and that gets us some great exposure. 15 minutes later, they forget about us and they move on to something else. Hopefully within that time span, they've phoned us or clicked or reached out to us. What's the number one thing that most of us care about when we're on social media? The big key is, and I hate to say it, but it's ourselves. Social media is one giant echo chamber for validation. If I put a joke on there, if I put a meme on there, if I put my content marketing for my business on there, you can't help but have this disgusting kind of, desire to check my likes, to check my shares, to see the comments. So it is really about validation. So the funny thing about social media, but in conjunction with these push posts that you're doing, which is, I've thought this great idea up that's going to help my audience, it's going to make them smarter, it's going to give them value, push that out to them and wait for the results. But there are little incremental things you can be doing every day. And Miriam, you kind of touched on this with talking to your fans. Once you get people liking you and sharing you, obviously you have to like them back, but don't expect them to just fall in love with everything you're doing. Instead, take 10 minutes a morning and comment and share the stuff that they're doing. That's what makes them fall in love with you. If you're just this sort of bottom feeder and they know, oh, I met her at a Chamber of Commerce networking gig, so I liked her page, she liked mine. What would you do now? What does that do? If I have some ambiguous business that I met one time 6 months ago, comment on the fact that my daughter graduated school, and they say, oh my God, congratulations, she's so adorable, something like that. I don't know who would be adorable in graduate school, but I think you get my point. I am immediately going to go, who the hell is that? Oh yeah, I knew I liked that girl. She's amazing. She was so smart. Instantaneously, and this isn't about being tricky or lying. It's just about taking that little nugget of, you see a photo that they share and thinking something. The validation is to type in that comment box, that's amazing. Those 2 words, or you're so proud of you, or you go girl, whatever the hell you're gonna say, those things will automatically take you from the bottom of the ladder up to the top of the ladder. So even though it seems like you would be telling your staff to, hey, be on social media this morning, think of it as pull marketing. You're drawing people into you because you care about them. So some of the times it doesn't have to be about you. You don't have to always think up these best ideas. You can just be a nice person and get involved in their lives. So the key word here is likability. Deb mentioned a really good example with Stella Artois. Now they give to charity, and we at Snap have done some local research as well. We had feedback from, I think it was over 30,000 people we put this survey into. 6,500 responded, which is pretty good. And 96% of those people locally here in Canada said they would support a business because they sponsor an event or they give to a charity. That's just hands down, yes, I will choose Tim Hortons over McDonald's because they gave more to charity this month. So hugely important to get involved. And much like, and I loved your point about just picking one social media. Same thing with a charity. You don't have to be Superwoman. You can be out there, just pick one thing. I recall a guy who came to us, started a small business and wanted some help. The first thing we told him to do was pick something that you can manage, that you're not going to overextend yourself on. He picked the food pantry in Newmarket, and he does a load of work with the food pantry. Now it's become a passion of his, and certainly people know him from his job, but they know him from the food pantry first. So this builds an absolute, it knocks down a bunch of walls that you're going to be able to meet more people, chat to people. And so Stella obviously is capitalizing on that. And then the same example that you used with, what was the example you used? I loved it. Wendy's. Wendy's is poking jabs at McDonald's, but what are they actually doing? They're creating likability because they're showing that they're fun, normal people beyond the big logo and the big corporate stores, that they're having fun, they have a sense of humor. Inevitably, that's just creating likability, and it makes me, when I read that post, go, oh, they're just like me. They're just like, they're being silly and they're having fun with it. So it's really about showing people who you are, how you can do it. And the other thing is vulnerability. There's a really good book called Daring Greatly by Brené Brown I recommend you read. It opens you up to see that you don't have to be so cocksure all the time. You don't have to be the number one and hey, I'm the best in the room and all that at all times. Show people that, hey, sometimes I suck, sometimes I fall apart, sometimes I don't do well, or I'm human. To show that vulnerability and tell people your story, the trials and tribulations. Hey, I have an amazing company now, but it wasn't always easy. I had to. Einstein certainly didn't create the light bulb without an absolute plethora of failures along the way. But showing, Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison. So if you showcase some of those points, you're showing vulnerability. People tend to gravitate towards you a little bit more. Obviously, finding like-minded people. We had some examples there about that. And the big one I like is you can do all this stuff, but make sure you tell people about it. There's no shame in making sure your picture is taken There's no shame in making sure you post yourself with the people at the food pantry. That's not always altruistic, but you want to make sure that you and your company are getting credit with the community, that you actually go out and do that stuff. It's actually your job to do that, because if I'm spending my money on this business or this business, and you own a coffee shop, and I'm like, well, where do I get my coffee today? I want to choose 96%. You just saw that stat. 96% of people want to spend their money with somebody that gives back and that has a like-minded way to go about things. We talked already about this kind of stuff. I'll just go through it quick. The content that you post has to have value. Some people think, oh, I'm going to throw out all these posts nonstop. But if it doesn't improve the lives of your customers, it's worthless. That's how you're going to build those raving fans. And the last point I'll use, because Miriam touched on a lot of the tools already, but is be a curator. Sometimes we have too much pressure to come up with these posts on push notifications. Sometimes you can just be a curator. If you go into a museum, the person that runs that museum did not paint those pictures. They did not sculpt those sculptures. They just found perfect ones. They became positioned as the expert. So if you are staying educated and you're reading blogs and you're thinking about all these things, and you're on YouTube constantly and you're finding interesting videos, you can share other people's videos and you'll get the credit for them. You'll get the credit for sifting through all of the information and handing me the nuggets that are going to better my life, whether it's about parenting or changing the oil in my car, whatever it is. So sometimes you want to think about just being a curator for other people's content, and that's my thing. Now, the lovely and talented Paula Page.
Take it over, Paul.
Over to you.
Thank you. So again, my name's Paul, and my contact information is right there at the bottom. And I run an IT company based in Newmarket. And today we're going to talk about, because I run an IT company, we're going to talk about the technology related to building your business and making sure you're keeping track of your contacts. So we're going to talk about something called CRM. And CRM is customer relationship management software. And the idea there is as a company grows and gets busier and busier, we get to a point where we're unable to keep all of our contacts, all of our new leads in our head. And actually, if you're using a program like Excel or Google Sheets, it gets to be too cumbersome for even just keeping it in a list like that. So there is software out there designed specifically for helping organizations keep track of their interactions with the community. And it's all about doing everything that everybody else has said so far, but then keeping track of it in a way that you are reminded to follow up. And it's also able to help you automate some of the tasks that you want to do. Because we're all busy, and having an assistant that can help us get stuff done, that would be ideal. So if you look out there in the world, you can see that there's actually no lack of variety for CRM softwares out there. And in fact, this is just a subset of the list of what's out there. And I didn't, looking at some of the least expensive, from Zoho up to one of the more expensive ones like Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics, there is something out there for everybody. And my recommendation for a small business is start small and work your way up towards something that might be more expensive. And I see Sandra joined the meeting. Hi, Sandra. You can't hear me yet.
Hi,
So
Sandra.
Sandra just joined us, so we can't hear you, Sandra. I'm sorry about that, but we can see you waving at us. Good morning. And we're just at the phase where we're talking about CRM and using that as a tool to help us. And we're just saying that there's a large variety of options out there. So what does CRM do for us? So let's have a look. So it's helping us keep track of potential customers. And today we're going to talk about CRM as a tool for keeping track of potential customers, whereas Deborah had clearly pointed out that it makes a great idea to use systems and focus on retaining customers. We're not going to talk about that today, even though CRM can help you with your retention strategies as well. So, and I already talked about, essentially you can keep it in your head when you're small, you can move to Excel when you're a bit bigger, and then you start using an application like this when you're even bigger. My recommendation is start with a basic CRM and don't do the list, don't do it in your head.
Yes.
One of our, that might be topical. They just said, so you just recommend something that's smaller? Like, would they look through it and say, which is the least expensive, and they can just keep it simple? That usually cost indicates its complexity, maybe?
Right, so, Bazad asked the question, you know, which one is good for small business? And my immediate response is that, so, did I say it right?
Yeah, you were
You
right.
said it
He
perfect.
said it with
How did you say
I
it?
didn't say anything, I just said somebody who.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay.
So Zoho is a great example of one. HubSpot is also another one, and they are really great if you're just starting out, if you have a limited budget. And Zoho's got like solutions for Zoho, I think $15 a month, which is pretty inexpensive. So the one thing is your leads can come from anywhere, and everybody at this table has already talked about, you know, where you can get your leads from. You can get them from pay-per-click advertising. You can get them from a website landing page that you have related to that. You can get them from making cold calls, or as Miriam said, or Deborah said, belonging to an association. So you can categorize where your leads come from, and that way when you get a new lead, you can say this lead came from this, and then you can measure the success of the programs that you're offering. And so being able to categorize that intelligently is something that all of these tools allow you to do. And some of them even provide, what's the word, automation. So for example, if you do get a sign up for a newsletter, or you get a something from Facebook, it automatically says, you got a lead from Facebook, and puts it in there for you and saves you a bunch of time.
A lot of time.
And it can actually assign with Zoho, it assigns whichever team member you have selected
Yeah.
to do this particular task.
Yeah, and that's great. Now at Foundation, at my company, we don't actually use Zoho as a brand. We have one that's integrated with our system, which works pretty well. So I'll be frank, I'm not an expert in Zoho, but the technology is pretty much the same with whatever tool you're using.
We use Monday, have you heard of
Monday, I've
Yes,
heard, has really got
Monday's
a lot
really
of traction.
good.
I didn't list it there, but it is one of the ones that's really
I
good.
just hate their name, because whenever you talk to somebody about it, you're like, hey, Monday, can you put this in Monday? Oh, you want
Oh,
to
I'll
do
get
it
that
Monday?
done
No,
Monday.
I'm gonna do it Tuesday, but put it into the program.
I think I'm just gonna add to that. I use another one called Follow Up Boss, and it's really good for real estate agents and mortgage brokers. There are specific ones geared towards specific industries.
Oh, that's a great point.
You know, some are more global and some are more like literally targeted to what you're trying to do. If you're in the tech industry or if you're in the mortgage industry, get the one that's specialized.
That's a really great point. And using a plumbing company, as I've done in this case, you can actually categorize the type of business that the customer is looking for. So it's not just talking about the type of lead, like where it came from, but what type of business are you focusing on? And then that way you can, like Miriam said, dedicate a particular person to it, because they're the person that's the kitchen person versus somebody else that's the renovation person. I'm going to be really fast today because CRM is a very straightforward topic. So again, here, you know, we're talking about Zoho, and it's giving us examples right out of the box where you can get your lead sources from. You can customize that list for your own business. In this case, they've already provided web form, advertisement, trade show, etc., as examples that they offer when the software is just brand new. You don't have to add anything else, or you could. And then it tells you, you know, who is the lead owner. And in this case, if you're a small business and you're the only salesperson in your company, your lead owner list is going to be really short. It's like, hey, it's me, right? And you know, in our company here, we've got 2 people, so it's either me or it's John. So that's great. And then it helps you assign to the sales team for follow-up. So you can say, okay, well, you know what? Tressa, in this case, reached out, and she belongs to this company, and this is her contact information, and I need to follow up with her today. Now, the beauty part of this is you can actually automate when to follow up. So if you send out a communication today, you can create a workflow, which I'll get into a bit more later. It says, you know what, I followed up today, and if she doesn't respond, follow up again in a couple of days, without, you know, getting to the point. And you have to gauge that. If you're going to create workflows for automatic following up, make sure you're not creating a situation where you're making them feel harassed. So that's like a personal choice, a lot of conscious thinking to make sure you're doing it right. So then the next thing is also keeping you organized. If you are at a stage where you've got the lead, then you sent the proposal, you can walk your way through and you can see how far along all of your leads are. And again, without getting into details, this shows you exactly, where you can be. You could have closed one, you could have lost the lead. Maybe you can put in a reason why you lost the lead, and you can track that to see, if I'm repeatedly failing at this type of lead, then maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it's not the line of business I should be in. You need to evaluate, right, what it is that you need to change in order to guarantee that success. And again, this is the results. You can see, how many of your leads are in the qualification stage, right down to, you've given them a quote and you finally got, you've won the deal. So other beautiful things about a CRM software, even like Zoho, which is really inexpensive, it integrates with your phone system. So you can actually press call and it's going to connect to certain brands of phone systems so that you can call from the software and it's causing your phone to ring and tracking that you made that call, right?
Very cool.
Connecting with social media, you can create it in a way that if somebody mentions your company on social media, you're getting an alert. And then the other thing is it integrates with your email software. So now you don't have to be in two places to correspond with your customer. If they send you a response, the Zoho, in this case CRM, is indicating that they responded to you. It's posting an alert. You can communicate directly back to them through the CRM interface instead of having to go into Gmail and then document that you've done that activity. You send the email directly from inside there. Another thing as well is you can do mass emails from inside CRM. So you can send out that newsletter. And as Dan pointed out, make sure you have the permission when you're sending out mass emails because we don't want to be spamming anybody. So there's actually, I got ahead of myself there. This is an example of that. And what you do is you create the template and then you send it out to the constituents that you want to communicate with. So if this could be integrated directly with your website newsletter sign up, and so when they sign up for the newsletter, now that category of people can be mass emailed on a regular basis. Who do we got?
Sandra Watson.
Sandra, what's behind her?
She's like, I'm out of here, I'm out of here.
She's got like a cheetah vest on her.
Anyways,
I like it.
keep going.
So then Zoho CRM as well, getting into the power of each of these things, and a lot of them have workflows, is if you get a new lead, you can automatically send, hey, we received an email, or we received, let's see, you receive an email from a website, you can respond to them saying, hey, listen, we did receive your correspondence, somebody will be in touch with you in 12 hours or today. And then you can create a task which would assign somebody to that item. And then you can say, update a field when that happens that says, hey, you know what, we did send the original correspondence and just as much information as you want. Updating a field could be, they came from the website. Updating a field could also be, they were interested in these 3 services because they checked those boxes on the website. And you can put in as much detail and make these workflows as complicated or as simple as you like. So, and then of course you can do the opposite. You can remove leads and it automatically cleans the database that way. So, looks like we've got one more person joining us.
It's Shauna.
Hi, Shauna.
You gotta let her in first.
Oh, hi, Shauna.
Oh, she's there.
So I just wrapped up, Shauna, so sorry you missed the best part of the presentation. But I'm passing you on to my dear friend Robin, and she's going to take it away.
One thing that could be worth mentioning is that a lot of these services have awesome second to none customer service. Like when you have a problem on any of these systems and you click, it's not like, oh, you click Facebook and they never get back to you.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these things, you'll get either a chat box or somebody writing you and saying, hey, we have all these seminars, we have all these webinars, and we have like firsthand contact with people. So in my experience, I found they have a lot of good customer service team to walk you through how to do some of this stuff too.
That's a good point. And Bazad asked another question. He said, is this a good way to send mass emails? And so the answer, I think I covered that, is yes. It is a really strong tool for that.
Just a quick point, Bezat. It is and it isn't a good idea to send mass email through this system. There are a couple of really good tools out there, but you need the permission ability to unsubscribe.
That's right.
Yes, you do.
It's
But
already in there.
yep, I love it. Huh?
It's already in there. It'll say like.
Yeah.
you did.
So the other thing is you gotta actually consider Mailchimps are great. Constant Contact is an amazing tool as well. And they have much better way of unsubscribing and using user, but I have heard that it might be illegal action unless it's okay, we can take this offline and we can have a conversation about it in a minute because I don't want to take away from Robin's time.
No
But I would be more than glad to talk to you about that.
Yeah, I'll make a note, we can go back to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so hi, my name is Robin Rainamo. So I've actually been in business for myself 10 years, and I have to say, like, just sitting here with you guys is unbelievable. Like, I've learned so much today. Like, you can never,
Yeah.
like, you think you know everything, but you don't.
You don't
There's
know
always more to
anything.
learn.
Yeah.
Always more to learn.
I feel like I don't know
I just learned
anything.
Einstein didn't create the light bulb. The learning keeps going.
Keep going.
The
Okay,
nuclear powered light
So
bulb.
I really do enjoy the company of my colleagues there. So let's get going. Okay, so now, so everybody here has been talking about how we're going to increase our sales. We're going to have more clients and that. So my job is to make it real. Let's get back to reality.
This is the giant pot.
Yeah, this is it. Okay, so
Exactly.
so one of the things that I always tell my clients is never make paying your bill be the pain point for your client, right? Absolutely not. When they come down to pay you, you want that to be as easy as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
So there's lots of different ways that we can do that. I've listed them on the PowerPoint, which you will have access to later. E-transfers, great way to receive payment. Personally, I recommend setting up auto deposit. If you're not comfortable with that, give them the password to use. Because you know what, sometimes they come up with these weird passwords and it's really hard to collect your money. Don't do that. Give them the password and make sure you look professional as well. Take checks, don't coupon checks. It's money, guys. Take checks. And you don't have to go to the bank anymore. You can literally take a picture of the check on your phone. Debit cards, accept debit cards. Credit cards, accept them all. Like I have clients go, oh, it's going to cost me 2% to accept a credit card. Do it. If that's getting money into a bank
Get your
account,
money.
you know, and I mean, this, like we talked about in the last one, the different tools of how to accept credit cards. So we're not going to get into that here, but if you go back to the first webinar, we went into that in detail. Another thing that I recommend is consider having retainers. So some industries, especially when you're going to put a lot of like time and effort into it, don't work for free. Get the money up front, right? Well, maybe you don't get all the money up front, but maybe get half of it up front. Like you say, okay, I'm going to have half now, and then when I deliver the product, I want the other half. Like, don't be shy. Don't belittle your services. Don't belittle your time. Do that. Or do monthly subscriptions. The thing that I highly recommend with monthly subscriptions, always reevaluate, right? You put somebody on a monthly retainer for a year. At the end of that year, take time to sit down. Did you make money? Because if you didn't make money, that subscription was not a good idea. Maybe you need to increase and maybe you need to reevaluate what you're doing. And then the other thing is to be very, very clear about your payment terms. Like, I know a lot of us, when we're busy closing the sale, we don't want to talk about the paying part. We don't want to, don't be shy, be strong, talk about your payment terms, okay? Then make sure on a monthly basis that you're reviewing your accounts receivable listing and follow up on those old receivables. Go to that 120 column and phone those guys. And if you're not comfortable phoning them, ask somebody to phone on your behalf. I actually, for a lot of my clients, I'm the bad guy, and I actually will follow up on some of their receivables for them. Because it's hard because they're the good guy. Don't be the good guy and the bad guy, right? For cash flow purposes, guys, please don't service a slow payer. What you're doing is you're investing all this like effort in this client who's not paying you when you've got new clients or other clients who can use your time and they're going to pay you on time and promptly. So anyway, that's accounts receivable. Next part is taxes. As the number of clients, as your number of clients grow and your business becomes more successful, you're going to have to deal with taxes. There's 4 different types of taxes. There's GST, HST, QST, which is really one type of tax. There's payroll taxes, which includes your WSIB, and maybe even employer health tax. There's corporate taxes if you're incorporated, and there's personal taxes as well. Okay, tax 101. You never truly save taxes. So there's one thing you learned today. Remember this. You simply defer them to later, or eventually your kids are dealing with this problem. So that's, anyway, and this is a really, really complicated and really technical section. So please consult with an accountant. Your situation might be unique. My job today is just to make you aware of these things, know that you're responsible for them. When CRA phones you up and you say, I didn't know, it's not acceptable. They do not accept, I did not know. You are, when you become a business owner, you're expected to have a certain basic knowledge of the business. And if you can't do it yourself, you're supposed to ask for help and get a professional to help you. Okay? Sorry, trying to go quick here. Okay, GST.
You're fine.
So all you need to know really about GST is that you don't have to register right away. The second you hit 30,000 in sales, you have to register. Each province has a different tax. Some it's GST at 5%, some it's HST at 13%, 14%, 15%, depending which province you're in. QST is its own whole animal because you know Quebec always has to be different. So definitely, I would not go on this alone. I would definitely phone someone like me and get some help. One thing I do want to point out, because I see this a lot, you cannot take HST from a customer if you are not registered. That is, honestly, it's a civil offense, and it is like stealing, because what you're doing is you're pretending that you're registered, and you're getting an extra 13% and keeping it. That money has to go to CRA. It's not your money. Okay, so definitely, so register. I recommend that you open a separate savings account for your HST. So every time you have a sale, move that HST over into your savings account, out of sight, out of mind, and you're not tempted to spend it.
Is that something that can be automatically set up?
I do that, yeah, absolutely. Also to note for the small businesses who are just starting out, that $30,000 limit restarts every single calendar year. Some people can volunteer for HST. Why would you do that? One, to appear larger than you are. We all know you only register for HST when you hit 30,000. So if you don't want to go into the marketplace, like I'm less than 30,000, and you want to appear bigger than you are, register. The other one is if you're an app developer or you're just starting up a restaurant and stuff, and you know that at the beginning you're not going to be making money, you've got refund credits that you can claim. So a lot of people will, you're spending money but you're not making it, you register and you get your refunds right away. Talk to an accountant. Payroll taxes, when you hire employees to service your new clients, you need to register for a payroll account with CRA. Okay, so first you're going to negotiate the salary with the employee, there's lots of information in here. I don't know if I'm going to have time to go over everything. But you should have an employee contract to support your employee arrangement. But as the business owner, you are then responsible to withhold the payroll taxes per the tables by CRA. What taxes are there? There's employment insurance, there's Canada Pension Plan, and there's employee taxes. As the employer, you have to match the CPP 1-to-1 and the EI 1.4 times to 1. And then you have to remit it over to CRA on the 15th of every month. As with GST, this amount of this money has to be remitted to CRA. Guys, they will take your house.
Yeah.
CRA will honestly take your house. You are personally responsible to make sure that this money goes to CRA. And then at the end of the year, employers must issue T4s to support and prove the taxes that they withheld on behalf of the employees. Just two things to be aware of is WSIB. Every business in Ontario needs to register for WSIB. It's workman's compensation. It's to make sure that your employees are covered in case they hurt themselves. As he's going through a situation right now where one of our employees got hurt. So you know what? Nobody wants their staff to be hurt at work, right? So you have to do it. It's compulsory. There are some industries that there are exemptions, but you need to talk to WSIB and find out if you are exempt or not. And then just something to be aware of, all these systems talk to each other. So what happens is if you have payroll and you do your T4s and you don't have WSIB, every year CRA sends a list of everybody's T4 summaries over to WSIB office. They go through that list and see who's not registered. So they'll come after the fact and say to you, why aren't you registered? You have people on payroll. So they all talk to each other.
So you have a couple of good questions here. One, if we deal with the United States, how do we charge a HST?
You still
And-
have to register.
And is it because wherever the service is ingested,
It's
that's whose tax you have to apply?
exactly. So that's a very good question. I didn't mention that. Sorry, it's just so much information. Yeah. So what happens is it's by the place of supply. So if you supply the province of Ontario, you pay 13%. If you supply Quebec City, it's their rate, right? For the US, yes, you do have to register for HST, and trust me, you want to, because HST is at the rate of 0. So there's still HST, but it's at the rate of 0
When dealing with a US.
when
company.
dealing with any when you're exporting services. But what that means is that all the expenses, the ITCs, you can claim those as a refund. So and that's just CRA, well, that's the government's way of encouraging us to export services.
What's ITC again? Sorry.
Input tax credit.
So if we're selling to Virginia, do we have to pay a Virginia tax?
No, there are situations where if you have a permanent establishment in the US, that we're getting into US taxes, then the US require you to register for sales taxes.
Okay.
But you need to have a permanent resident, permanent establishment. There's lots of rules around it.
Sam asked
I
a
can
question.
answer those questions offline because they're very tricky.
So Sam's asking, even businesses without employees. Sam, what does that mean?
That
What
was,
your question?
that was
Self-employed.
pertaining to, I can't remember now. I knew. 'cause you
Sam,
asked
please
us.
repeat there we go.
Oh, WSIB.
Oh,
Okay.
no. So the owners of a business are exempt from WSIB. So if you're in a business, just you and your husband, or you and your wife or partner, both of you are exempt from WSIB.
I got a huge refund once because I was paying it for years and they were like, what are you
No,
doing?
the owners don't have to.
It was like a good chunk of change. I'm like, vacation. Yeah.
Because remember, it's workers' compensation.
Yeah.
So you're, as the owner,
Yes.
you're not a worker. Okay?
So I have one question before we move on. So my employees, they're in front of their computers at home in their pajamas. So do they need WSIB? They don't. Why would they need WSIB?
That's why you need to always phone WSIB.
speak
I
to
know your industry is exempt.
Okay.
But and another thing is, you know,
Industry.
hiring, if I hire a bunch of subcontractors,
Oh,
they're
okay, that's the
always
next
there.
slide.
Yeah.
Next slide.
ahead.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. And WSIB is not just for employees,
No.
it's your contractors too.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't
You
think
have
that
to.
makes
That's
sense.
important. That's very important.
I like my staff climbs ladders and stuff.
Oh, then you're not exempt. Okay, so now the big thing is, okay, so I've got 2 more slides. Is it okay? I've got-
Yeah,
Go,
we
finish.
have an hour.
We have
so
lots of time.
we're good.
Employee versus contractor. So ideally, CRA would like all of us to be employees, remitting our tax on a monthly basis, because that's how they have lots of money to cover all the programs that Canada loves to offer. So employee entrepreneurs, on the other hand, we like to be on contract, because why? In our corporations or as our sole proprietors, we want to deduct our expenses. So the big difference between an employee is that you get taxed at your gross earnings. So if you're at 100,000, you're getting taxed on 100,000. If you're a consultant or a subcontractor or a self-employed person or contractor, you take your income, deduct all your expenses, and you're taxed on the profit. So you can understand the motivation, right?
Right.
One of the things I'm just going to put just in your mind, sorry, lots of information. Just be careful. If you have only one client, you're considered a personal services company. So just
Right.
remember, if I have just one client, I need to speak to an accountant. There are several considerations to prove to CRA that you're a contractor and not an employee. And trust me, they audit this.
Oh,
Often.
We just had this experience recently.
Yes. So one of the ways that you can get around this is just to request a ruling up front. A lot of people are scared to request rulings. What is nice when you request a ruling from CRA is they look at your situation and they actually make a decision, and they give you a piece of paper that you can keep on file, and CRA are actually bound by their decision. So rulings are not a bad thing. They're a good thing.
Does that mean you're asking them, hey, I got this person that might
Yeah.
be, tell me what they have to abide by?
Yes,
Here's
very
here's
nice.
the rules
Yeah.
that they have to abide by. They're not allowed to go
Yeah.
here, they're not allowed to work this many.
And you can even request your rulings like in the My Business account.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, and you also do rulings for wives or husbands who work in your business because they don't pay EI,
Mhm.
because family members don't typically pay EI because they're considered part of the business owners and they control it.
Right.
They're control because business owners are exempt from EI.
Mhm.
Okay, so again, the best thing to do is request a ruling. Always critical, yeah. Anyway, so with the contractors versus employees, so these are the type of situations that CRA will quiz you on, literally on the phone and ask you these questions. So one is they try to determine what your intention is. Like, is your intention to be an employee? Is your intention to be a contractor? Then they look at the level of control that the payer has over the worker's activities. So if you're telling somebody you need to be at the office at 9 o'clock and leave at 5, they're an employee, right? Who provides the tools and equipment? So if you come like with your own computer, you're probably a contractor. But if I'm buying you a computer and all your tools, then you're probably an employee, right? Whether the worker can subcontract the work or hire assistance. So if you as the worker can have people helping you that you pay, you're probably a contractor. The degree of financial risk that the worker takes, so if you're at risk, you understand. The degree of responsibility for the investment and management the worker holds, the worker's opportunity for profit. So if you're getting paid, say $5,000 a month, and there's no opportunity for you to make more money, you're probably a worker, an employee. And then other relevant factors such as the written contract. Okay, and this is the last one. So the last two taxes, I've kind of put them together, is corporate and personal taxes. No matter what the structure of your business, as an entrepreneur, you're taxed on the profit. Means that you add up all your income, deduct all your expenses, and the result is your profit. If you're a sole proprietor or a partner in a partnership, you're taxed at the personal tax rates. And there's different income tax brackets. I think a lot of people are familiar with the different tax brackets. The business statement that you do is a T2125, and this is within your personal return. So you only have to do one tax return. Your personal is all in, it's together. If your business is in a corporation, the profit is still taxed. It's still taxed on the net profit, but it's taxed the corporate tax rates. And it's done in a separate return called a T2, which has to be remitted. So, and then when you take money out of your business, so you've got your corporation as a separate legal entity, and you're taking money out of your business account and putting it into your personal account, that is either a salary, a management fee, or a dividend. You are then taxed every single time you take money out of your business as a person. So the company's getting taxed, you're getting taxed as a person. So the biggest mistakes people make as entrepreneurs is thinking that the corporations are taxed at a lower tax rate. Yes, they are, but you need to add the two taxes together. That's your true tax figure, right? Your corporate plus your personal tax. Another mistake that entrepreneurs make is not knowing the difference between passive and active income. They are taxed at different rates. Active income, you have the small business deduction and tax of 15% if you're in Ontario. And that is if you're actually working in your business. So you have services, or you're selling goods, active income. If you have a home, a rental, or if you have investments and it's just making money and you don't really have to do anything to make the money, it's an investment, that's passive income and it's taxed at the high rate. Okay? And then also to be aware of personal service corporations. If you have one client, CRA will say, no, you're just trying not to be an employee, therefore you'll be taxed at the higher rate. So anyway, like I said, a lot of information.
Talk to an accountant. Don't try to do this on your own.
Yeah, I just wanted you all to be aware that there's lots of traps and tricks in this world, and sometimes you can save a lot of tears, but just ask me for some help. And yeah.
And like a lot of things that are at your disposal that can help you that you might not know of, because you don't want to sit through a bunch of government, mumbo jumbo that like you said about the HST refunds or maybe there's access to grants or things like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the Shrek, there's so much I could talk about. Anyways, and now we're on to Azzy.
All right.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Azzy, and I'm a mortgage broker, but I am also a business owner. I own a manufacturing shop at Steeles and Dufferin, so I have employees. I've dealt with WSIB. I've dealt with marketing and all the sales, and and I understand everybody here. And what I would suggest is just to say, sometimes I can explain 100 hours to a client about something. And I always say to them, but you know what, at some point, you got to trust that there's professionals out there that are looking to help you. And once you have that great relationship, you don't need to worry about it. Just, yes, worry a little, but hand it over. And having a great accountant or someone who's in marketing, who's helping you, or with IT or with sales or whatever it is, the team you build around you is everything for your success of your business. And at the end of the day, that is key. And I can say that like a great lawyer is worth his weight in gold, accountant, all of it. So yes, I've been a business owner for a while, and I've dealt with a lot of issues. And one of the big issues, especially in manufacturing, is how do you get money? It's very difficult because we're a very volatile industry. Bush can make a speech and the next day all the funding in the world is shut down, okay? So it depends a lot on the economy, politics, and sometimes maybe you're in an industry, maybe you're starting up a business, you know? So what you need the money for is very important. What you need the money for is gonna tell you where you're gonna go for the funding. And that's what I wanna kind of talk about today. Where can we go get money to do all these amazing things? We have to be able to afford it at the end of the day to pay for the CRM or the digital marketing. Where do we get those funds? Or are you a business that's already established, but you need some money to expand? So, you know, do you need to purchase equipment? Sometimes some of my machines are over $500,000. Where do I go for that? Do you know what I mean? And it exists, there's funding out there. Sometimes I have a purchase order and my client is not gonna pay me for 90 days after, and that's very common in our industry and it could be common in yours. Where do I go for purchase order financing? Maybe sometimes I need to buy, you know, $100,000 worth of material to make that 200,000, and I don't have the 100,000. And there are professionals out there that can help you with that. So, and do you need to invest in real estate? I mean, I can't do manufacturing in my garage. I need a place to do that. You know, maybe I want to buy a commercial unit. Maybe I want to buy a franchise. So maybe I want technology and it's super expensive. I know in our shop, for example, we have Mastercam software that could run us $30,000 a station. So our software, because we like to do everything legitimately, is very expensive. So we have financing for that. There's a lot of financing for those kinds of things. And I want to just shout out to the BDC for, I took this slide off of them and I referred to them at the end, but I just want you to know the BDC does all of this, okay? We're gonna talk about them after. So financing your business, okay, obviously I'm a mortgage broker. I'm gonna start off with, do you have a home and can you use the equity in your home to finance? I would say yes, there's two ways. If you own a home, if you don't own a home, we're gonna go back to the first slide later. We're gonna go for grants, we're gonna go for other kinds of money. But if you own a home and you need some money, is it a good solution for you? Sometimes I could say not always. Are you gonna get a line of credit? I say to people, if you're getting a line of credit and you need it for more than 2 or 3 months, that's not a good idea. You know, if you need a year's worth of money, you need 200,000 and you can take it out of your home, is it better to fix it right now at the rates of like 2.69 or to do a line of credit, which could be between 4.45 or 4.95 right now? Obviously very expensive money. You've got to think long term. How long do I need this money for? Do I want to put a dent in it? Because if you fix it, then you amortize it. It's all fancy little cutie words. But what it means is that you're actually making a dent in the principal you're going to owe at the end. Line of credit, some of them, if you have room inside the line of credit, you don't even have to pay interest. The interest is paid out from inside the line of credit. So you could be in a perpetual state of debt. You know, and at the end of the day, I mean, the banks are only comfortable giving you 80% of the value of your home. They'll send an appraiser. Sometimes they have automatic evaluation systems. They sit on a computer, they say, yes, there's the value, and they'll lend you 80%. But is there a strategy at the end of that to get out of there? You know what I mean? Are we putting all of our, you know, personal money in a business? We just have to make sure that that's the right decision, right? So speak to a professional. It's really important. And, you know, with line of credit, if the prime rate of Canada goes up, you know, the line of credit gets really expensive. So it's not stable. And whereas a fixed product, you take the equity out, you know your rate, you know your amortization, it's fixed and you don't have to really worry about it, okay? So I just put a little slide up here because if anybody doesn't understand exactly how that works, if you have a house and it's worth $300,000 and you still owe $175,000 on it, your lender can give you up to 80% of the value of the $300,000, so you can have $65,000 to play around with. And maybe that's what you need for your business. And if it's a solution where you can afford it for a while, if your income is not coming in right away from the business to pay for this, you have to out of pocket that. So
it's a $300,000 home in North Bay.
Right, exactly. What's the value? So I'm not going to stay on that too long because not everybody, you know, has a place that they can refinance, and maybe that's not even feasible. So I'm going to tell you about the Canada Small Business Financing Program. Super important program because in 2008, when the recession hit, I had 2 machines that I had purchased, and there was a speech made. Bush made the Axis of Evil speech, and I'll never forget. Every financing that I had for those machines shut us down. And this is a government-sponsored loan. It's actually backed by the government. So basically, they say to the financial institution, give it to her, I'll back it. You don't really run a lot of risk because I'm backing it, but it is, at that time, it was very expensive. I found it's a pretty much, if you use a floating rate, there's a 2% registration fee. The floating rate is around prime plus 3. Prime is at 3.95 right now, so that would be 6.95%. It is not an easy loan, but I mean, if you think of loans out there, you know, it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, but it's a lot easier to get. You basically go through a financial institution. They have a website. I put the link up there. You go on there. It has a very funky video. This robotic man is speaking about the loan. You listen to it. You kind of understand. And you go into the area that you are and you say, okay, where's a financial institution that's doing this? Most banks do. And you go to them and say, okay, I want to do this. But is it for everything? No. It's for you're trying to improve or purchase some fixed assets like building and land, commercial vehicles, business equipment, leasehold improvements for a franchise. It's not for working capital, getting more inventory, franchise fees, research and development. You can't use it for just anything, okay? And if you're a business making over $10 million, don't apply for this. This is not for you. The government's like, you're fine. So yeah, but definitely I have used it. And yes, it is expensive, but sometimes it saves your life. So keep it in the back pocket, guys, okay? But you know, a lot of times you want to go get money and what's the first thing that they say? You need a business plan, right? And there are places that can help you with that, but there's a lot of templates out there. And why do you need, what is a business plan? Basically, it's for you to show that you understand every aspect of your business and that you can generate profits. Basically, you're breaking it down and telling them, you know, is this going to be profitable and why? It's a written document, so it tells them your business objectives and strategies, your financial forecasts, and marketing targets. You know, it helps you focus on how to run your new business with the best chance of success. And when you're writing it, there's a couple of questions I always put in there. How will I generate the profit? How will I run the business if sales are slow or profits are down? Who's my competition? If you're trying to open a coffee shop and there's 5 on the street and you're the 6th one and you put a business plan together, the bank's going to be like, no, thank you. It's not a good idea. You know, it's got to be logical at the end of the day. But there are places that you can go for help as well to write these up because they can be very overwhelming, okay? So who can help me get some money, right? If you need some money, where can you go? And I have to say, like my number one, I just wanted to send a shout out to them because they're awesome. The team picture is there. And their entire mandate is they're committed to helping innovative entrepreneurs, startups, small business across your region basically succeed. I mean, I would go to them and say, hey, I have a question. And if they're not the ones, they know where you can go. And I speak to them quite often. They actually, when I gave them a phone call last week, gave me things about manufacturing. I was like, oh my God, this is genius. Like I learn all the time and I've been in business 13 years. I like love them. So they do one-on-one group consultations. They do group consultations. So like imagine the BDC will charge you like $5,000–7,000 to do a consultation and look at your business. They do it for free. Okay, so like this is an amazing organization. They do market research support, business plan development. That business plan that you're having a hard time with, they might not write it for you, but they will definitely take a look and give you chunks and say, go and do it, come back, let me take a look at it, okay? And they have a lot of events and networking opportunities, building those people, you know, going to the places where other like-minded people are and networking with businesses. Great idea to go to some of their networking opportunities. They do have a couple of grants on there. You can go on their website. The links are there. I mean, if you're over 18, like they have a starter company plus. If you, I mean, I have teenagers, so I love this. If you're over 18, you can get $5,000 and some professional mentoring to start your own little business. You know, maybe it's landscaping or something. They have a summer company again as well. If you're secondary or post-secondary, you can go on there and you can, you know, get some money to start owning your own business. I love that for the young generation. But what if, you know, you're in the IT or you're a different kind of industry? Maybe you're in agricultural. I have left here a couple of places that absolutely can help you, but it is very industry like specific. So if, a lot of them are geared towards they want IT people. You know, they want IT companies. They want to help you grow them. They want you to expand. They want to help you, you know, get the talent you need to make that, you know, IT company amazing. Some of them are for agricultural. Some of them are just, you know, if you can show them that you can improve the community by doing something and helping the community out, they'll give you money for that. You know, South Lake is great for that one. There's also people ask me, is there private business money out there? Because sometimes they just don't fit every box. You need like certain amount of criteria and they don't fit. I put an example there for York Angel Investors, and York Angel Investors, it is a group of investors that will hear it out, and it's kind of like a dragon's den. Can everybody just picture that? It is a dragon's den for ideas. They do, I
In your
think,
region.
yeah, and it's like our mini little version of Dragon's Den. I think they do like the IT companies and, you know, a lot though, but yeah, they're an option out there. Yeah, and if you're looking to get a grant, so I've had a few grants come my way because we've applied for them. I mean, let's say you can't really afford an employee, but you really need you know, I don't know, somebody to help you admin or somebody, and you want to hire someone out of school. You can go and look to see if there's a grant opportunity. Sometimes they'll pay like half or a little bit more of the salary of that person per hour for you to give them the experience in exchange for them coming to work for you. And maybe you might keep them after on board when the training hasn't been expensive. It's not expensive to train someone. Training is the most expensive thing in a business. So why not have these government grants help you bring in people from school, from whatever the criteria is, and bring them in. I've brought in many students from, you know, tool and die schools and put them on these programs. The applications can be a little difficult. I did put, and I'm putting a big, like, guys, disclaimer, MentorWorks is a private company. I know them well, but they have the most extensive database of grants and funding directory. I say, and even, you know, the center, when I was talking to them, was saying that we use them a lot to find the grants and, you know, go through and see if we can apply for anything. We don't necessarily use them. They're not a bad company, but their website is awesome. Use some of the tools out there from these private companies. They're putting it all out there for you to read. And if you want to hire them, then make sure you know all the costs up front, because there is money involved.
So you go to that site, for example, you get an idea of, and what they make money by brokering the.
Basically, they put the
50%
grant
of whatever you get.
application together and they take a certain percentage.
Gotcha.
So like if you can get, you know, 100,000 or 50,000, they'll take a percentage right off the top when they get it, and it has to get approved for them to get paid.
Okay. Yeah,
And because sometimes you don't know the little intricacies of how to apply for the grant,
Yeah.
and you won't get it, but you deserve it. So it used to be that like Humber College, Seneca schools used to do this for us to help us hire their students for free. And then, you know, a lot of them are kind of falling off. I don't know what the exact situation is, but that's why I put like MentorWorks out there. They're a private company, but there were times, and I tried to look for some more where it was free, and it was like these other organizations that helped us do it. So I've never really, hired them. So and the BDC, I put them at the end, but they're very, very important. They're a crown corporation. They're shareholders like the Ontario government. They're there to help entrepreneurs. Their entire mandate is to try to help you succeed. So that first slide that I was at was theirs. So, you know, if you're trying to open a daycare and you have a great idea and you put a plan together and they see that you can do it, they might, you know, need a couple of things or a personal guarantee from somebody else, but they'll try to find you a solution is what I'm trying to say. And if they can't, you know, then they can't. But they're a great stop. To just get information, get a rep. I can put you in touch with some people that work there. It's they want you to succeed, and they're not as difficult as it would seem. Okay, so that's pretty much for me.
Can I just open it up for everybody that has a question? Okay, so Deb, can I unmute everybody? How do I unmute everybody?
Unmute.
How?
You can just
Manage participants.
Top menu where it says 12. Yeah.
17.
And then just unmute.
Unmute all.
Hi everyone, can you hear us?
We can.
Excellent. Does anybody have any questions?
Are there some on the side there?
We already got through those ones.
Okay.
I have a couple.
So Alex might mute himself.
just know, because they don't want you to.
That's
hear
fine,
it.
because I don't
So
hear
just
what they do.
make-
Yeah, exactly.
Unmute him?
Yeah.
Let's have an unmute. Thing.
No, he might.
He might want to.
He
No,
wants
no.
to be muted.
So mute
It's okay.
everybody, and let them chat.
No one's chatting.
Okay, so
Okay, go ahead, guys. I unmuted a few people. If you want, feel free to unmute yourself. If you have any questions,
Or you could just use the chat box.
or use the chat box.
So I just want to say about one thing that you said, Robin. I had a guy try to charge me HST, and you have to check that their HST numbers are valid. There's a lot of scammers out there that will act like they have an HST number, but they don't. and they're not allowed to charge you. So there is a registry on the CRA's
Yeah,
website where
yeah.
you can search up their number and be like,
I love
You
it.
don't need
Yes. I
Is
told
that as a
them,
question?
yeah, that's
Can
actually
we
very
get this
good.
presentation material? Absolutely. I will share. How did we share it last time? I sent it out, sorry. I sent it out to Daniela from Wiseback. And then I'm assuming she could share it with you. But what I can do is I can share a link with you guys. How do I do this?
we'll do it after.
Yeah, we'll do it
Yeah.
after. So I have all of your, I have everyone that was registered. So I would be more than glad to share it with you. Will you have a recording as well? Yeah, I'll put up the recording as well.
It's a
Hi,
full
Shauna.
movie type presentation.
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
Will you?
Where does the
Oh,
recording
yeah,
go?
they're very fantastic. Hello. Oh, Shauna.
Where does the recording go?
I will put it on YouTube, and since everybody has to register in order to join this conversation, I'll send you guys the link
Okay.
to both, actually the previous presentation and this one, so you guys
Send
can have it.
to us, too.
Absolutely. I did send it to all of you, but okay, I'll send it again. I actually have a question for Paul.
Yep.
In regards to the CRM that you were mentioning. You said you guys have your own version of the CRM.
Right.
And what made you think of Zoho?
When I first started my business,
Mhm.
I was looking for appropriate tools, and I was doing a lot of research.
Mhm.
And this is quite a long time ago, and the product's evolved quite a bit since then. And I decided to use that for a while, but then as our company grew, we decided to make the switch to the one we're using now, which is literally directly for the IT world, and it just makes sense for us now.
Excellent. Will there be sorry, Shauna said, will there be more web presentation plan? Yes, we have another one coming up on March 5th. And since you guys are all registered, I'll send you the invitation as well, and I hope all of you can join. Behzad says, one question for marketing. Is it good to post the same posting every week in LinkedIn? No, that's a horrible idea. Don't do it. And I'll tell you why. Because you got to figure out, depending on the business that you're in. Huh?
How do you really feel?
Unfortunately, there's no filtration. So the thing with LinkedIn is that because it's a platform that allows you to connect with other professionals, there's a level of professionalism that is expected of every post and every information that's been posted. So a good friend of mine, he's an oncology professor from Western University, and he posts on LinkedIn often. He posts almost every day. And the content that he posts is very, it's all about oncology and all the, the different programs that are available and the research that they've done. And it's fascinating. So every time I actually look forward to go on my LinkedIn just to read what Saman puts up, mainly because I don't know anything about the oncology world. When it comes to posting on LinkedIn, you got to make sure that the information that you're putting is unique. It sets you apart from everybody else, and it actually speaks to the people that are in your group setting as well. So they don't feel that they look at it, they read it, they make a comment, and they share it.
What about
And adds value.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's super important. You're right, Sam, that it needs to give something back where the person says, or the person that's reading it says, you know what, I'm going to share this, or I'm going to have a discussion about this later on with a friend.
But the other point there, and going back to Dan's contribution, some of the content that you can post doesn't necessarily have to be your own unique thing you wrote. It can be curated from something that you're interested in.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my friend Saman that I'm talking about, he's an oncology professor, but he doesn't write all the articles himself. And a lot of it comes from, the seminars that he's gone to, the conferences, and what he has learned in that conference.
Shared learning.
And he puts his feedback on it when he posts it. But what he does is he doesn't repost the same link or the same information. So this is another thing that's always been, that a lot of people talk about, recycle content. Just why would you recycle a content? Think about it. Nobody comes to your store or to your service for recycled information. You can't say, oh, I got this from that expert, but I'm going to resell it to you. Because then they're going to be like, well, I'm going to go to that expert then. Why am I coming to you? Mm-hmm. So the whole concept of I'm going to recycle information that I put in 5 weeks ago back on the social media it makes absolutely no sense. You are growing, you're evolving, so come up with something new.
So one of the things that I like to do is if I write a blog post, I will take 3 things out of it. So I'll post my blog post on my website. I will then take 3 things out of my blog post and post those on my Facebook business page.
There you go.
And link it.
So it's not because you spend the time and energy on that blog post and you don't want to just use it once. But if you can pull out nuggets into a different,
That's a different.
Is that a good idea? or
Yeah,
a bad
absolutely,
idea?
because you have written it, and that's fine. Having bits and pieces of
But
something
I'm not
that you
gonna.
haven't-
But then what really irritates me is when I go onto Instagram and I see a post there and I see the exact same post on Facebook. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? It gets boring, right?
I think it just, there's some that automatically do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other
It's
thing is,
automatic, it goes on both.
do not post the same content on multiple locations.
Is there another question there?
You create a large piece of content and take nuggets out.
So can I share what?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
one of the
content
things that
strategy. Yeah, that's what you just said. Yeah, Sam is repeating what you just said.
So one of the things that Miriam taught me to do is she said it's not about just advertising yourself all the time. It's about engaging with other people. So one of the things that I do on a daily basis is I do what Deb says, I go where my clients are at. So I belong to groups like the South Africans in Toronto group because I'm like non-resident clients. So I go into there, which is meeting my clients where they're at, and then I don't talk about me as an accountant at all. I just engage and talk to them on their level. And just this week, I've got 3 clients.
Nice.
Is there any directory to get the list
I
of
can answer
companies?
that.
Okay.
So
What was the question?
what Bazad asked is there a directory to get the list of companies for a specific industry in Canada and the USA? So there's the Scott's directory as one
Oh,
example,
yeah.
right? And there's another one that has a tool called Sales Genie. And if you just look up business directories for sale on Google, you'll come up with a list. Now we're using, we did use Scott's for a while, and it's providing us with information about those businesses. It tells you details like how many employees they have, approximately what their salaries are, and gives you primary contact information. And what we found is that it's about 50% accurate. But having said that, it does give you a basis for starting. And so for us, when we started doing cold calling is one of the things that we're doing this year as an initiative, is we're using that information, then we're going to the company's website, making sure that it's accurate information before we call them, so we don't look like we're just right out of touch.
Scott's been around for over 25. That I've been in the business for like over 20 years.
It's 100.
Yeah.
100.
100 years, there you go. There's just so much information.
You're welcome.
So I have a couple questions. One, maybe Miriam, you can make comment to video. Sometimes video is a little scary for people. They either don't like being on video or they're terrified that it's it's a big production. To talk about, I don't know if you have specific stats on this, but I find there is a trend in people's acceptance of more amateur videos. In my opinion, it's because of that likability thing. It makes you feel more down to earth, more
Right.
casual, more approachable, more reachable, if you will. Do you have a tendency or a preference over, hey, invest the money in getting a production company to come out, build my promo video for me, edit it perfectly, have the music behind it, versus the tool of, hey, how's it going? I'm Dan here. I'm at the food pantry. We're stocking the shelf. Come on out. Donate
So
to-
that's a really good question. I have, I actually recommend both, and I recommend podcasting. And I'll tell you why I recommend podcasting. I like both because with a professional videographer, when you have a professional videographer come into your site, the professional videographers have gone to university or school, different schools that they've gone to, and they have a completely different perspective as what we see. We look at things from our personal simple goggles, whereas they see things grander than we do. So it is a good idea to have a professional videographer to come in because it will make your business or your products really sleek and really shiny and pretty. So yes, but a lot of us that are in the service industry, we do need that personal touch. So we do need that, hey, I am at the food pantry. I had a bunch of cans and non-perishable food that I want to drop off. And it gives you a real human being behind the service, and that is important.
So there could be a mix. The beginning could be reserving a bit of funds for, let's say, an overarching
Absolutely.
video that's a minute long. Here's who I am. Almost what your landing, not almost, what your landing page would do.
Yeah.
And one-stop shop, create emotion, create likability, empathy, a little bit of that vulnerability of the historical significance of why I'm where I'm at and what we offer, our benefits to
Yeah.
our clients, all that wrapped up into one neat little package. And then, you can
Absolutely.
save money by having ongoing content produced.
Well,
That's
the
more
thing
emotive, but-
with the professional video is that you don't have to buy from one person. There's tons of videographers out there, and they all have different ideas and different, programs that they provide. Don't go with the 1 minute video. Ask if I can break that 1 minute video to like 5 10-second videos. If I can do that, that's 5 extra videos that you got. So that's a really good idea. Secondly, and the third thing that I want to mention is, yes, you do need a professional one. Yes, you do need a personal touch one. But if you're not comfortable, I hate being in front of the camera. Every time I'm in front of the camera, my videographer has to literally be like, calm yourself, and a couple of yoga sessions so that I can calm down, because I absolutely hate being in front of the camera. If you hate being in front of the camera, you don't have to be in front of the camera. It will make sense if you could actually sit behind go into a podcast. If you have something to say and you don't want to say it in front of a camera, go say it in front of a microphone.
Can I read Jeff's question?
Yeah,
Yes.
what is this?
Okay, so follow up with clients. My clients are horses and horse owners. Some of the horses have injuries, and I'd like to follow up to see how the recovery is. Is it better to contact them or wait for them to contact me for another appointment? So don't contact the horses, but do contact the horse owners.
I would say,
Yeah.
I would say that's
I would
a,
love that.
Sorry,
that's
that's
a
a big joke. Sorry.
if I may, that I would say that's a perfect scenario, much like the examples I was telling on Facebook or social media. If I had somebody who wasn't shoving their services down my throat, but reached out to just check in very passively on, hey, how's, whatever, insert horse's name here, how's the horse doing, worried about it. This is also where sometimes it's good to have a resource bucket of tools that are free. There's a really good book by, his name's Jeff Jarvis, I think, What Would Google Do? And essentially it recommends just that, bringing people to your watering hole because you offer up something free. Not too dissimilar, quite frankly, to what we're doing right now. We have expertise in certain areas that we're handing over. Why? To get you excited, to develop a bit of a rapport with all of us so you guys think we're decent people. You can do the same thing. So if you have something like some information that might help, whether it's dietary recommendations for those horses, exercises, even recommendations of people in their area that might be able to help out, including yourself. That's a smart thing. Reaching out and saying, hey, at this, if we had another client that, their horse recovered at this point, maybe try this, and just offer some advice instead of saying, hi, I'm checking in on the horse. By the way, we have a sale on, for this kind of food or something like that might help the horse. You don't want to appear like you're capitalizing on something that's not going well in your clients' lives. So it's always good to have a resource bucket of advice or free tips and tricks that make you.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here and say it's totally fine to just reach out and ask about the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally
Yeah.
fine without all the other
I
stuff.
think that
It's actually even more
Yeah.
powerful, I
Sure.
believe.
Yeah, we're in,
Absolutely.
we're in
It
the
shows your
relationship
concern.
Yeah.
business. You have to I find people ask me how I got my business to move or whatever. I say it's all about relationships. I actually genuinely care about what's happening with you.
Yeah, she does.
And I'm in sync. I text my clients. My CRM has a texting platform. I'm constantly on there texting them about random things. Like
That's a good
I'm at
point.
the point where if a crime happens in their family, I'm the first one to find out. I'm on there with the police. I'm investigating the matter. It's getting crazy. Like I'm really involved with them, and I like that, and that's the way I want to run my business. Some people might have a little bit of a different approach, but really caring about the people
Yeah,
you're working with.
absolutely.
Sam,
Actually, Beth had asked one question about email marketing. I am sending about 50 emails to my potential customers, but I received 0 response. Is it possible my emails go directly to their spam box?
can
Yes,
answer
that
that.
is possible. The second thing is that your title, the subject line of your email, is crucial to whether your potential clients are opening your emails or not. And having a permission and calling them ahead of time and asking if it's a good idea for me to send you an email, do you allow that? It kind of puts them on, yeah, I'm waiting for this email from Behzad, so I'm gonna check my email, or if I see an email from Behzad, I'm gonna open it because you already called and kind of inform them, I'm gonna send you an email. So sending 50 emails, it makes sense to kind of give a call ahead of time, or like a heads up, I'm gonna send you an email, is it okay? That way you're gonna get better response. Yes, it could be ending up in your spam box, so check your domain name. There's a site that allows you to see if your domain.
There's a couple things related to that question. One of them is that is when you set up your email on your domain, you can say when you're configuring your settings,
Right.
there's a record in the DNS, which I'm getting into too much detail here, that you can configure to say email is allowed from my primary mail server host, or it's allowed from, say, for example, Zoho.com if they're sending email on your behalf. And being able to configure that to say what the authorized senders are directly impact the reputation of the email you're sending. So you might want to look into that with a qualified IT person who understands what that is. And then there are, organizations like Zoho, MailChimp, everybody knows that they are sending email blasts. So my company, as an example, we've configured bulk email to go into a secondary folder as opposed to our primary folder. So your customers may be doing something similar, and it does cause email to go where it's less visible.
And then Sam asked, what CRM
Can I-
tool do you use?
Yeah, it's
go
great.
on.
So I'm gonna say something. I'm passionate about CRM, and it took me a long time to pick one. And I shopped around. Even when I picked one, I was like, I interview CRM systems all the time, and they fail a lot of times because they don't have a lot of the capabilities I need. I don't send emails out like that to potential clients. I don't. I text them. A lot of this generation will read what's on their phone way faster than they'll look into their email.
100%.
I used to do like, literally, I would have like templates and things I would send people. And I found people would unsubscribe from me all the time. So yes, you have to get authorization to send them those things. And then they would have this button, unsubscribe, they were gone. But when I text them about specific things targeted to caring about them, they love it. They love it.
There's also
So which one are you
So
using?
Which one are you
yeah,
using?
So it's Follow Up Boss. I use Follow Up Boss. They have a texting and they log all my calls and they record my calls. So a lot of times if somebody gives me some financing information and then they say I never gave that to you or that's wrong, I have a recorded call. They have everything.
So I'm
You
gonna-
record phone calls?
I don't because I don't
Okay.
like it, but I could.
Yeah.
I could. I log the calls though. They log it for you.
But don't you have
That's
to
why you
tell
didn't
someone if
record
you
it
record?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't because you do have to tell them they're being recorded. Absolutely. But I do a manual log. of all
Just
my
like
calls.
forever, I agree. I feel like I have been.
Searching forever. So the other thing now is the same laws that
I'm the
apply
same
to
way.
email
Mhm.
are applying to text. So
Yes.
the latest texting tools that I've been looking into say also include that unsubscribe from text.
Yeah.
So if be mindful of that
Yeah, yeah.
because you could get blocked from your phone.
Good.
I have a question for Robin.
Okay.
Could we talk a little bit more about the late payers, people who, it's been 3 months, it's been 4 months, all of a sudden, we're in this awkward predicament.
Yes.
You're recommending, don't waste your time on them at some stage, but at the same time, we've got a lot of buildup of funds there. So
Exactly.
with accounts receivable, I get it. We have to focus on we don't want to be with the corpses here, but can you just elaborate a little bit on when cutting them loose, when sending some of the collections, maybe offering incentives like, hey, I know you're running away from me, but you could pay in $10 installments
I
or
know.
something.
It's all about open communication,
Right.
right? If they're in 120, it's sad that they got there. Like, you should be starting to talk to them in 30 and 60 days already,
Mhm.
right? And that we normally start, because the problem is you are the business owner and you're the collections officer.
Right.
So it can be really awkward because you're going to be the good guy and the bad guy. So that's why we often will ask somebody else to do it on our behalf. So I can be the good guy selling to you, and then the other person that does the collections that goes in. I would start soft. I always start soft. You start soft, and then and then I always say let's work something out.
Right, saying something along the lines of, hi, listen, I understand you're busy, I understand you might not have gotten to this.
But yeah, but
You know,
also they
it-
just
it-
don't have the money.
Right, but is that something you would say to them? Like, would I say, I know maybe this, it's hard to tackle this
depends.
bill,
I mean,
tackle.
It all depends on the relationship you have with the client. So
Right.
I mean, I have like one client who I love dearly, and I'm like, dude, like I got children to feed.
Yeah.
You know, but it depends on your relationship.
I find
And then
it,
he'll say, okay, you know what, Robin, the contract's coming in. You know I'm good for it. You know, what if I gave you $500 a month?
and
And I'm totally okay
Right.
with that.
I think
as long
that's-
as it's
that's-
open
that's
dialogue.
worked for us as well, where
Yeah.
there's somebody avoiding calls, and it's, you know, you don't say, hey, I know you're avoiding me, but you basically say, hey, by the way, we have some payment plans,
So-
financing options. You could, even if you chipped away at this, $80 a month or whatever it is, and then they're like, oh, that sounds great, you know, they
And
come
the
back.
same with CRA. So if you get into a situation where you owe CRA money, okay, so let's reverse that. Now you're the slow payer or you're the person who owes CRA money, right? It's all about communication. Like when CRA starts sending you letters that you owe them money, you owe them HST and you owe them payroll deductions, it's all about communication. Phone a collection officer ASAP and work out a plan. Because if you're paying $100 a month or $150, you're in a way better situation than if you just avoid the situation. You avoid it completely. And the same with your suppliers. Be honest.
Okay, that's a
So,
great question
Beza-
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So most of my clients are international with different time zones. Calling
Oh,
or texting is not feasible.
Okay,
Is there any other way
I'll
of
just-
marketing other than emails? There's tons of other ways. Did you have
What
a-
do you?
Well, no, when I have internet, they actually tell me that they prefer me to WhatsApp them or.
WhatsApp
Yeah.
is a really good
is
one.
huge. I have
Yeah.
clients in Switzerland, the time zones are different. They
Yeah.
WhatsApp, they
We
send me
WhatsApp too.
documents on WhatsApp, they send me pictures. It's actually, everybody feels like it's safer than texting
Yeah.
actually, and so I use that a lot.
I
So,
use WhatsApp as
A
well.
lot.
We have a couple of clients right now that we're working with in New Jersey and in Boston, and so bizarre because they have Iranian phone numbers, but it's WhatsApp. Like their WhatsApp is Iranian phone numbers, but they live in New Jersey and Boston, and we deal with them all through WhatsApp. We talk to them. We have calls. We have video chats. We have everything. Your internet connection is unstable.
Okay.
Well,
So let me just follow up on that. I have distributors in Colombia and Mexico, 27 countries that we work with, and we've been pushed into the WhatsApp world
Yeah.
at their request. And as far as time zones, not being able to call or text, you can schedule those to be delivered at different times. So, and if those clients are that important to you, sometimes we have 4 a.m. client calls.
Yeah.
You know, so it's up to you as to how you want to build your business.
And also, like if you deal with Dubai don't work on Saturdays, but they work on Sundays. So, you know what I mean?
They
You
don't work on
They
Fridays.
don't work on Fridays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have clients internationally as well, and because of their non-residents, so they own properties in Canada,
Yeah.
but they're non-residents.
Another tool that's really good is Telegram.
Telegram.
Yeah. So
You're so
apparently,
Persian, right?
I am so Persian. It's a very Middle Eastern tool, but I
never
find
heard
a lot of
that
people in the
before.
U.S. are using that as well.
Is that an app? Or like
It's an app. It's called Telegram.
Okay,
about
It's literally like that.
okay, no questions, are we good?
We're good.
Actually, I
Alright.
got a question from
Alright.
Zad,
Ooh.
because
Oh,
he's
nice.
asking us, like, this is the calling and texting is like a one-to-one communication. Are you talking more grand scale, like mass marketing or anything like that? Can you clarify your question?
So
Wait.
exciting. I'm waiting.
He's excited. Hopefully he's gonna type
Okay,
something.
so
You can reach
we had
out.
a few
Don't worry
people, ask where to get this information because it's really valuable information that we've shared today. So do you want to just recap where they can find it?
Absolutely. So we will, since all of you have registered, what I will do is I'll have send everything to Daniela from Wiseback, and if she likes, she can send it to all of you. And secondly, I will send you both presentations from today and from last time from January. And I will give you the link to the YouTube videos that you can watch, and hopefully it would be everything that we talked about, and you're going to get a lot of information from it.
And in the PowerPoint and in the presentation, it has all of our contact information. So if you have a specific question for Azzy for mortgages or financing or IT for Paul or one of us specifically, feel free to reach out individually. We're more than happy to answer your questions.
I think
Okay,
Great
so we're
questions.
good.
it's nice talking to everyone.
Yeah.
Bye. Oh, wait, you're all back. Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank
have
you.
a good day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
That's easy.
And meeting.